Love you.
First of all, I would like to say that I think there was like 2 to 3 things that Brad wanted to include and did put in the list of things that we should talk about in this show that were like just, I'm not even going to say what they were, but just like news items involving mass death and involving just like horrific things happening to innocent people and the elderly.
But I'm not celebrating. I'm not celebrating the more
Celebrating it.
No.
He had another take on it. It was like not a mean take, but like I had to be like, Brad, it's like 10 p.m., which is way past your bedtime, and so I think that you are not thinking straight. This is a pop culture podcast. We don't talk about any mass death event under any circumstances.
Well, people should know. People, if you're going to bring it up, people should know.
They should know.
No, they should know. I mean, we're not going to go into depth on it, but I was fascinated by this thing at the Hajj.
No,
in the Middle East.
Now we're talking about it.
Where they're making a pilgrimage, and all these people are dropping dead in the heat. And I'm
what Brad is saying is that people made a pilgrimage to Mecca, and a shitload of them died, and he wanted to discuss it on our lighthearted pop culture podcast.
And we're like, no, but it's not about the death. It's about like, wait, we got to change the schedule. We got to. It's too hot to be doing this, and that you're in this. There's a million people.
Religious. It's like a. Okay, no, we're moving on. All
right.
This is the text conversation that I had with Brad the other day. Yeah. And it got to a point where I had to say, Brad, I am exercising my powers of veto, and we are not talking about this.
Yeah, Mira's like, she'd put her foot down.
I've never been the voice of reason in Brad and I's friendship until like this moment. Like ever, even once.
I feel like we've made a breakthrough together.
Yeah, that's true. You've become less mature, and I've become more mature.
That's how it's supposed to work, though. I'm regressing, and we're inching forward in different directions. But what like is in the news that is socially acceptable to talk about?
Well, so I'm about to talk about a story that is not totally socially acceptable to talk about, but I did allow it to still be in the episode because it doesn't involve mass death. So our next topic involves everybody's favorite Jacob Elordi, everyone's favorite tall guy actor, who is tall and handsome. I don't really know what else his thing is besides being really tall and handsome. And
Gen Z. Did he played Elvis? What did he do?
He played Elvis, but not in the main Elvis movie, not in the Baz Luhrmann one, but in like the other one.
The Sofia Coppola or
maybe in Priscilla, I think he was Elvis.
Okay, yeah. So he's like just conventionally handsome, kind of like young leading man type actor.
He came up in the show Euphoria, where he was like the hot guy at school who everybody wanted to be with. But then he's like secretly gay, and like his dad's in the military, and it's like whatever the fuck teenage.
It's sort of like I feel like it's sort of like a new iteration of like the Josh Hartnett thing that was happening in the Sofia Coppola movie, that was based on the novel. What's it called? The
Virgin Suicides.
Yeah. He's like that guy.
That's her best movie by far, in my opinion. I love that movie. But he's also taller than that guy. So it's like if Josh Hartnett was 6'5", I think is like. Is
that how tall this guy is?
He's maybe not literally 6'5", but he's like up there. Like he's over 6. He's a giant.
Okay. Wow.
It's like you see him next to this girl that he dated in Euphoria, and she is literally below his shoulders. Like he is that tall, and she's short also, but like he's a giant. So he's giant and he's handsome, and he was targeted in an X-rated deepfake involving a minor.
That's a fucking night. I feel like that's a nightmare. This is going to keep happening. This is just the start of all this.
It's a total nightmare.
It's going to become like, I mean, it's like already sort of normal for deep fakes to be happening, but I don't know how you put this genie back in the bottle. There's going to be crazy shit going on the internet.
Yeah. I mean, like it makes me think about, and this doesn't involve porn, but it makes me think about, I believe it was Crispin Glover, and Back to the Future 2 or 3 or something like that. He refused to be in the movie, didn't want to be in the movie. And so they used like outtakes from previous Back to the Future movies, and they kind of spliced them together with new audio to make it seem like he was in the movie. And he sued and created a precedent so that people's images can't be used in films without getting paid for it, basically. So I think that will relate to the use of AI, but also like it can't really regulate like the porn part of it, like the sex crimes part of it. Like that's like another
this has
thing.
got to be, it's got to be regulated somehow. And I just
Somehow.
I want to say too, Crispin Glover, like I'm glad he stood up for himself. Like that's good. But like he's like got this interesting brand, if we can put it that way, as an actor, where he's like edgy and weird.
I like Crispin Glover.
Well, that's what I mean. People love to say they like him because it's somehow like, yeah, I'm edgy and weird too. And I'm like, you know what? But then like I've heard stories where like you go to his house and he's got like a collection of like dead bugs in a box that he shows you or something. And it's just
That's kind of cool though. I'm
it
kind of into
is.
it.
Okay. But I'm like, at a certain point, you're just weird. And it's like, what
Yeah.
do you know,
But I guess I can, if somebody, what the thing about him is that he seems genuinely weird. I don't think he's putting it on. I think that's how he actually is. And I like genuine weirdos. I can't help it.
Yeah, I do too. I saw him once.
Really?
Eating a salad outside of Erewhon in like the outdoor seating on Beverly. Like
wow.
I was new to the city and I saw him. I remember that.
No celebrities are immune to Erewhon, I guess.
George McFly,
Yeah, good old George McFly.
But he is I think he's always memorable. You got to give him that. He's never dull. He's never dull,
he chooses
on screen.
His roles carefully. He's always like I appreciate very much actors who never phone it in, who like can be in a movie that's even stupid and still give like 150% because they like acting and they're like don't want to have a legacy where they're ever phoning it in. Like a Nick Cage, #1 Nick Cage fan. He's like my favorite person. I love him so much. And like he's in a lot of shit movies. But like you put him in National Treasure and he is giving you 400% when he's stealing the Declaration of Independence. Like he is stealing the Declaration of Independence. And it's like, all right, good for you, dude. Like, hell yeah.
That's how I feel about Patrick. I feel the same exact way about Patrick Swayze. It's
totally.
His level of commitment in like kind of B movies is so over the top that it makes me smile. Like when I'm watching
it's fun to watch. You like it. It's like, it's great. I mean, I firmly believe that Werner Herzog is one of very few directors who has allowed Nick Cage to access the full extent of his power in Bad Lieutenant. Have you ever
seen what it was? Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah.
I mean, he's just like, he's smoking crack. He's like grabbing like air tubes of like old ladies trying to like threaten to kill them. He's like shooting like a guy and then seeing like a lizard dancing. And then he's shooting a guy and saying, keep shooting him. His soul is still dancing. Like 80% of that was just improvised, was just Nick Cage going nuts and Werner Herzog being like, keep rolling, no, keep doing it, like keep being insane. Like,
can you do a Werner Herzog impression when you say that?
Oh my god. Okay, wait, let me see if I can get into it. Like, I feel like I need to say something in order, like a Werner Herzog type line, or I won't be able to.
Let him improvise. It's good.
Be like,
the human soul must
improvise. The human soul
must be
soul is a dark place.
It must be uncaged.
We must uncage the human soul. I sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, that's right. We're like devolving into Schwarzenegger.
I feel like every accent, if you go on long enough, eventually devolves into Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's where you end up. It's the terminus. So what happened with Jacob Elordi? He had this deep fake come out of him like doing this like illegal thing, and then he had to get it taken down?
Yeah, so like I guess what happened is that somebody used AI to put his face onto an OnlyFans person, like an OnlyFans guy. But the OnlyFans film was filmed when the guy was underage in the US, but he's Brazilian. And so it was like, I think him and the girl were both 17. And so that's allowed in Brazil because it's like 17 is the age instead of 18. And then they put Jacob Elordi on the 18-year-old's face to make it seem like he was fucking a 17-year-old in the States.
What is the age of consent in Brazil? Is 17? It's like, okay.
I think so. Yeah.
It's like 8.
It's right. I mean, in France, it's like literally like 11.
Jesus. Yeah, it's different. I mean, listen, I think there's some countries where you can like marry somebody at like 11, you know.
I mean, in the States, you can marry somebody at, I think, 15 if your parents sign off on it.
Really?
R. Kelly married Aaliyah when she was, I think, 14.
Is he in jail?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, he is in jail.
He's done.
Remix to Ignition. R. Kelly is in prison.
What is that?
That's Ignition Remix. Hello. It's his like best song.
Oh,
You don't know Ignition Remix?
I couldn't pick a song of his out of the. If you played it, I wouldn't know it was him.
Yeah, you could. I believe I can fly.
That's him?
Yeah.
My son likes that song, and it's kind of touching.
Well, your son's canceled now.
Yeah. My son
Your
my
son's
son has
never gonna get
disabilities. My son has disabilities, so like when he sings that, I'm like, oh, but it turns out it's a pedophile song. Nothing in this world is pure. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing at all.
All right. So I'm glad Jacob Elordi got that sorted out. What else is going on?
Let's see what else is going on. Well, one thing that's going on is I realize my ceiling fan is still on low, so I'm going to turn that off. 1 second.
Yeah, you're cheating, Mira. Unless you're
cheating.
hotboxing it fully.
I thought I was like, oh, I'm doing pretty well in the heat, but no, it was that my ceiling fan was on low. So if you guys could hear that, I'm sorry.
I, by the way, am a purist. I have no ventilation at all, and the temperature is starting to get to me a little bit. But
Yeah,
we're gonna see if I make it. I might pass out. Let's see.
Yeah, that'd be an exciting episode if he passed out, though. You know, the chances are I'd pass out first. I have a long history of fainting and very low blood pressure.
But the thing is, you've got Tyler nearby, right? And I'm like isolated in this room. If something happened to me in here, it'd be over. Like,
yeah, that's true. I'd have to like call 911 on your behalf. Like, I don't know. He's in the back house. Where is he?
Break in. Take an axe.
I don't know his address. Just Google him.
All right. So what else is going on?
So the next one involves somebody who I think of as a very like, I don't know, I guess Gen X celebrity, Howie Mandel. What the fuck did he do? Who is he again? Why is he?
He's a comedian, and he used to put a surgical glove over his face on his stand-up routine, and then like exhale, and so the thing would inflate. And then I think he also was on America's Got Talent or something. He's like one of those reality show judges.
He got famous because he put a glove on his head and inflated it?
Well, he was a stand-up comedian, but he was like kind of like gag. There were like gags on stage. And
that's really insane.
I got to say, I have a Howie Mandel sighting once. And
really?
I don't mean to name drop, but Mira and I both live in Los Angeles and have for many years. And so I think like as an unwritten rule of this show is that if we've ever had a sighting of a celebrity we're talking about, we should be compelled to discuss it.
Oh yeah, because it's not even like you're talking to them or having. It's just like you see them places, and it's like, oh, spotted. Like I once saw Vin Diesel coming out of Cafe Gratitude, and I thought that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, I was at Barney's in Beverly Hills, which like
fancy.
I never am. Like I mean,
what were you buying at Barney's?
I think this was when I was dating my wife.
Oh wow.
I was probably like we were dating pre-kids. I was probably tagging along. Barney's is just like a department store. It's a nice department store, but there's a restaurant up on the roof, or at least there used to be.
Yeah.
And people shop, and then it's kind of I can't stand places like that. But I was there, and we were at the restaurant, and Howie Mandel was there, and I spotted him. So I did not exchange words with him or anything like that.
Melissa Broder and I have often gotten lunch at that place for some reason.
At Barney's?
In Barney's, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess the food's probably good. I can't remember it, but
it's like fine. I don't know. I got a salad.
Yeah, right. Exactly. How many different ways can you make a salad? So, what's happening with Howie?
So Howie Mandel said that I guess his wife had a fall in a Las Vegas hotel. She fell down. And the headline that I'm reading here says Howie Mandel's wife was high on edibles before gruesome Vegas hotel fall. Now, why is it gruesome? Let's see.
I want to look at this picture myself.
So he said, we partied too much. She was tipsy. I did not know that. How do you not know that if you were partying? Whatever. And in the middle of the night, she got up, and I don't know where she was headed, but she headed into the wall. And she fell and hit the wainscoting. She hit that as she went down. She slipped, went down, hit that on her eye, then fell on the floor and broke her cheek.
Jesus.
And although he didn't see her fall, Howie Mandel quickly went to investigate after hearing it. And he said that he could see blood pooling around her head and that he could actually see her skull. What the fuck?
Wow, this is a brutal picture. She looks, her left eye.
Fucked up.
She hit her forehead. You see the cut and the bruise. Yeah, listen, edibles are no joke. People take these things, and I think you get to Vegas and you feel like you're younger and it's the place to go nuts, and people take edibles and lose control of themselves.
All right, look, I'm not trying to say anything about Howie Mandel because I don't know anything about him, but how the fuck do you fall down and hurt yourself this badly? Like, I am looking at a woman with a gash in her head that goes to her skull and like a black eye that is like so fucking gigantic that it seems like she would have, like, I don't know how you even get a black eye like that. I mean, I guess maybe she could have fallen, but and
Wait,
she
are
probably,
you insinuating that maybe Howie like injured her and then they're covering it up with this edible story?
I mean, I I'm not going to insinuate that because I don't know that that's true, and I don't think that's true. That's not what they're saying, and I'm not going to accuse anybody of hitting their wife. But I feel like a fall, it had to be like a crazy, like repeated, like slapstick comedy style fall where she's tripping over one thing, hitting another thing, and hitting another thing, grabbing on a thing. Like she like has so many injuries. Like I feel like she
Uh,
must have fallen down a flight of stairs.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, she looks pretty fucked up, but I will say, like, remember Bob Saget, the comedian?
Mm-hmm.
He fucking died in a hotel room falling. He fell and hit his head and died.
Wasn't he in a bathtub though?
I mean, he was in the bathroom. I don't know, but like, or
But like
they,
in a shower slipping, that makes more sense.
no, but I want to say like he hit his head and then died in bed. So it wasn't like he hit his head and
Oh,
blacked out. It was like he hit his head and there was like a brain bleed or something, you know,
hmm.
and then that did it. But
That's
I don't
fucked
know.
up. But like
Yeah,
this isn't even a brain bleed. It's just like wounds.
but if you're half asleep and you've taken an edible and you're too fucked up and you get up in the dark and you're walking, I could see how you could trip and fall. And like
Yeah.
if you hit your head hard enough, even though the site of impact is the forehead, it'll give you black eyes. And
Yeah. I mean,
so
the black eye is fucking wild. I feel like she must have hit her eye directly on something
probably,
to
I
get a
mean,
black
look,
eye like that. Like she must have like really like smashed it on like a doorknob or some shit.
and I feel like, yeah, I mean, I guess once the story's out, you sort of have to tell the truth. Otherwise, people are going to speculate, be like, Howie's a wife beater or whatever, but he's
Yeah.
not.
They're
Hopefully,
maybe
he's not.
still gonna speculate if they're me. Oh, my dog wants up. Hi, baby dog.
I feel like he seems like a nice guy. I mean,
Yeah, the
I
baby
mean,
dog's budding.
hey, baby dog. I feel like comedians can be a little bit nutty, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
I've heard that repeatedly from people in entertainment that like comedians are the most crazy of the different
Yeah.
tribes of creators. But
I mean, certainly I think that it was more than alcohol and edibles. I think certainly there was like some thing more involved there drug wise.
these are not young people, though. Howie Mandel's probably in his 60s or 70s. I mean, these are,
I
but
don't think
she's
you
probably younger. I don't know. You
I
know,
would I don't think you're aware of how much older people actually do cocaine.
that's
Like
crazy.
I would bet
I can't even have a drink anymore.
like I can't even do cocaine anymore. Really, like if I have a drink, I get like a tummy ache, and then I'm hungover the next day. Like
Yeah.
I smoke weed, but like I would bet most of the people that you know your age, your peers, they wouldn't buy cocaine. But if it was at a party and somebody was like, "Do you want some cocaine?" They'd probably be like, "Yeah, I'll do a line."
Well, I have no doubt. I have lots of friends who take up on that offer. I don't
Like,
like it though, and I just feel like
no, me neither.
it's
I mean, I
so.
did enough of it to know that I'm like, I'm good. I've been there, done that, tried it enough times. Like, yeah, all right, I get it.
Yeah. What else is there to learn at a certain
Hmm.
point? All right. So what else we got? I hope Howie Mandel's wife is okay. Like, let's just wish her well. I mean, you know,
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it was like bad, but mostly like surface level injuries at least. Like, I don't
you
think
could
she's
see her skull. I mean, if you can see her skull, that's a pretty fucking intense
not
injury.
great. Yeah, it seems like she doesn't have any brain damage like injuries, so that's
Right.
good. But yeah, no, she's really fucked up.
Okay.
Um, so be careful with edibles, folks, but also enjoy them. Um,
Just like small doses.
yeah, small doses or like really big ones if you're used to it, like me. But small doses for you guys. But if you're ever buying me an edible, get the biggest dose, please. So let's see, what is our next topic? So our next topic is one of my favorite awful dudes, Liam Gallagher, who, let's see, should I explain who Liam Gallagher is, or is that like a...
Yeah, there might be young people who have no idea who he is.
Okay, so Liam Gallagher, well, I'm a young person and I know who he is. I guess I'm not that young. So Liam
I'm
Gallagher...
talking like teenagers, like our teenage audience or whoever might be
Right,
listening.
all the teenagers who listen to our our podcast, yes. So for all of the young, cool, hip teens who listen to our podcast, Liam Gallagher is a, I guess, former member of the band Oasis. I don't know if they've broken up. I think a long time, but yeah, they've been broken up a long time. So he was the lead singer of Oasis, which broke up because him and his brother Noel are kind of in a constant state of fighting each other over like dumb shit and just saying they're really funny when they are fighting each other, honestly. Like they say really fucking dumb ass shit about each other and just like shit talk each other very intensely. And I think they're kind of just both very easily agitated, grumpy men in a kind of funny British way. That is maybe not funny if you actually know them. So Liam Gallagher has been consistently at war with his neighbors for like a really long time. Like he is just constantly a nuisance to his neighbors. Recently, I guess, so there is a new war with his neighbors. The last war that he had with his neighbors was that he wanted to install a high security wall and gates at his home. And it caused quite a stir with the Highgate Society, which I guess is like the homeowner society of where he lives, or the homeowners association. And they complained that his wall would be aesthetically unpleasing, and he like literally like went to court with the fucking HOA and shit over it. Like he was so intense about it. Now he has decided to have another war with his neighbors for an extravagant swimming pool. Now, at this point, it's seeming to me like he's just inventing reasons to fight his neighbors. Like, he's maybe bored. He's maybe not fighting with his brother enough.
Yeah, what are we? These people, I feel like, he has a ton of money and he's not really doing much musically, and so it's just he's just trying to create
fight my neighbors. And so he's decided to. He has this massive plan for a gigantic, extravagant swimming pool. The neighbors have said, and this is the most British quote of all time, that Liam's plans would create a most unfortunate precedent, and that they could be seriously affected by any groundwater division. And like, he's just pushing it again and again and again. He's been another issue that he had, I guess, was earlier this year, where he is butting heads with his neighbors over overhanging trees, and the leaves are going into the neighbors' yards, and they're pissed about it. And he was forced to cut the trees back.
He owns the home. He's not doing anything to their house. Like, I don't understand these. Like, I don't give a fuck what any of my neighbors do. I'm the easiest neighbor. I never will file a complaint against you. I won't call the cops if there's loud music. As long as you're not like aggressive. It's what?
It's people getting mad about their property lines. They're like, oh, your tree is hanging over into my property line and the leaves are getting on my lawn.
You big baby. Grow up.
My grandma lives in Los Angeles, and like the last cul-de-sac in Los Angeles, in a house she's had for a bajillion years. She had these neighbors who were there for like probably like 20 years. And like literally my grandma was in like a death feud with these people for 2 decades about her tree. That my grandma said that this house was actually built a couple of inches onto her property line, and therefore she did not have to cut back her tree because it was her property line technically. And the neighbors were like, fuck you, and kept cutting back her tree. And my grandma would do this thing where she would rake up all the leaves and then push them right up to the point of her own property line, which was like about a foot into their yard, and then just leave it exactly there. And like they couldn't actually do anything about it because legally it was her property line. And she held on to this feud for so long that they literally sold their house and moved out.
It's just like a battle of wills.
A battle of wills. And like my grandma will never ever lose a battle of wills, and I guess Liam Gallagher won't either, because like he has just been in like he got like a hip replacement, I guess, last year, and ever since he has just been repeatedly fighting with his neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to like really look at the specifics of this and like go visit. I'd have to see the property, but if the guy owns a home and he wants to like put in a swimming pool or put up a wall, it's his house.
I mean, whatever. Who cares? Like,
who gives a shit? Yeah, it's
let Liam Gallagher have fun.
Let him do his thing. He's got a house. You can do whatever you want to your house. Like, it's your house, you know? And if, like, I get it if, like, you know, if you have a tree and, like, it's raining, like, tree fruit or whatever onto somebody's car. You know, that's what they call it. Like, it's like seeds and fruits and nuts are falling from the tree and, like, littering on top of somebody's car or something. like then yeah, some consideration is in order. But like if it's just like, oh, this is my property line, there are people, like a certain kind of person is so fucking obsessed with their
Yeah,
shit.
it's
It's
really
mine.
true.
It's mine. It's my
Yeah.
house. It's my
Hmm.
yard. And they like, it's like, I,
Homeowners especially just fucking lose their mind over that shit. They're like 2 inches on my property line, like don't get your leaves over here. I mean,
oh
it's like
my,
Rand Paul and his neighbor getting into a physical altercation about their fucking lawns.
right, right. It's so fucking weird, man.
It's
Like,
so fucking funny.
all right. Well, I hope that Liam, I hope his hip replacement surgery is a success.
Yeah, I think Liam will be fine, except for his relationship with Noel, which is permanently damaged forever.
Those guys, I don't know enough about it, but they're always fighting. They're like old, like,
Oh my god, they're so fucking funny. There's like I can remember one quote, which is I think it was Noel on Christmas gifts from their parents or something, which was like I got a Rolls Royce and Liam got a Rolex, which is ironic because Liam can't tell time. And they're just constantly saying shit like this to the press, like they're little kids just like getting like one over on their
I could
brothers.
see that. I think that's actually healthy. You need
It's
that.
yeah, it's healthy.
What else is going on in the news?
Oh god, this fucking okay. So this next one, Jesus Christ, I can't. I added this one to our list of topics to discuss, and I'm regretting it now. But our next story is about Kourtney Kardashian and Travis Barker, who, for the elderly who don't know who are listening, and possibly Brad,
I don't know. I
Kourtney
mean, I know
Kardashian.
she's a Kardashian. Is she where is she in the pecking order? How old is she?
She's the oldest one, but she's one of the less famous ones. She's really into like chemicals and all natural shit, and like she's kind of like I don't know. She's like the one who like fights with her sisters and then like is boring in the show kind of, except now she's married to Travis Barker, who is the drummer for Blink-182.
Okay.
um so she's changed her whole aesthetic to be like, I'm a rocker now, I'm goth, like I like wearing like black clothes and like skulls and like bleh. Like
Why?
it's
Okay.
like
Why do we have to completely revolutionize our personal style to sort of accommodate our partner? Just be
we
yourself.
don't we and it's like it's like I don't know. Like it's something that the Kardashian family does. Like uh, Kim's entire fashion sense and the entire way that she carries herself changed completely when she was dating Kanye. Like that was like entirely 100% different.
It's like you think it's controlling men. Is that what it is?
I think that the Kardashian family is like a little bit, not a little bit. I think they're really misogynistic. I think they very much are like, let's have the men be in charge and like let's like
But
you
they're
know
they're like a family of women who are like cajillionaires.
I
Like they
mean, a
seem to be in
family of
charge.
women who like know how to surround themselves with men who they can use to become famous. And
Sounds to me like they're in charge.
yeah, I mean, they are in charge. I agree. But that does not mean that there isn't like a hint of misogyny in the choices that they voluntarily make around the men in their lives. Like, there's a reason why, like, Chloe's husband cheated on her repeatedly and yet is still kind of like living in like her house basically and still like, being a dad to her child, like in a way where he's like living with the child. It's like,
Wait, how many Kardashians are there?
okay, let's count. There's Chris is the mom. And then we have Kourtney is the oldest. Then there's Kim. Then there's Chloe. Then there's Kendall and Kylie. So there's six.
Okay,
And
they
each
they
of
have
them have like a million kids.
they have different fathers and
Yeah, well, so Kendall and Kylie, their father is Caitlyn Jenner, and then
formerly Bruce Jenner.
formerly Bruce Jenner, and
Right.
then Kim, Chloe, and Kourtney are all Robert Kardashian's daughters. Robert Kardashian,
OJ's buddy.
OJ's buddy, exactly.
Okay. So what happened with Kourtney?
So Kourtney, for those who don't know, has shown I think like 3 of her childbirths on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Like you don't see like her vagina, but like you see her giving birth in a pretty intense way, which like respect, whatever. And now for some reason she did that with this birth too. You see the birth on the show. For some reason though, she's decided to tell the press that her and Travis Barker had sex to induce labor when she was already 3 centimeters dilated.
Okay. See, like, this is like, I get it. We don't want to be shaming pregnant women for any reason. We should celebrate the miracle of life and pregnancy and
Do whatever you
childbirth.
want, but like what?
But listen, this is clearly, I mean, she clearly knew. She's no dummy. This is going to get publicity and clicks.
Of course. Her
But
mom probably sent it to TMZ.
yeah, yeah. So it's like a part of it is just gamesmanship. And like, okay, if that's the game, then respect, I guess, on some level that they know how to play it. But
Yes.
this whole thing about like commodifying pregnancy and using it as a way to get like people to clap for how brave you are. It's
It's
like,
like you
okay,
chose to have a baby. I don't know, like that. It's hard to have a baby. Yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense.
like
But
more
like,
power to you. But like, I just feel like it's been commodified too much.
yeah, it has, and it's been commodified too much in terms of like things that you have to like buy to have a baby. Like just like literally commodified. Like, okay, you have to like, like I have a friend who used to work for some company that had like a showroom of baby toys. So you couldn't actually purchase the toys, but you could go to this place, look at the toys, and have them added to your like baby shower wish list.
Right.
And it's just like the most unnecessary shit. It's like, get your baby a fucking crib and call it a day. Like, I don't know. I slept on a futon. Like, I like with my mom. Like, I don't know. Like, it's like the baby will be fine.
People put their babies in drawers. They do all sorts of shit. And like,
People raise babies in caves. Like,
that's right. That's right. And I think like there was I think it was started with Demi Moore when she took that like iconic photo where she's pregnant. She's like in her third trimester and
Oh
she's
yeah, that was
like
cool.
naked on the cover of Vanity Fair. Very cool because it was the first time that it had ever been done.
Yeah, I'm all for like pregnant nudes. I think that like pregnant women like look a specific, like beautiful, interesting way, and like might as well take a million nudes while you're pregnant because it's fascinating and I like it.
I mean, there are couples where like they do like a professional photo shoot while they're pregnant. My wife and I never did that. Like my
No,
wife
that shit's
would
weird.
never like, but like it is weird where they're like sitting there and like the guy's got his arms around and they're like the belly's out. And it's like,
I also
okay.
never liked when people are like, "We're pregnant." Like, no, we are not pregnant. She is pregnant.
Or, but if you don't say we, then it's like, oh, well, she's pregnant, is she? What about you? Aren't you pregnant? Don't you take
I'm
responsibility?
not pregnant. My wife is pregnant. Like, do I look pregnant to you? Are we sharing the pregnancy?
Yeah, so I just feel like it became then after Demi Moore like did this thing, then it became a thing that somebody imitated, which is okay, that's going to happen because it was popular and it sold magazines. But then it started to become, I think, like a rite of passage. It's like any meme that
Pregnancy
gets beat,
announcement, like
yeah,
whole, like
the
yeah.
whole thing, and it's like okay, we're beating this to death, and I feel like it has become something that you sort of have to do, and I feel a bit of cynicism where it's like, do you think you invented childbirth? Like you're the first person who ever had a baby on earth and you need to be on the
Right.
cover of Vanity Fair, like posing nude with your belly out? Like, good
I
for
mean,
you. I'm pulling for you, but like, we don't need this over and over again.
and like so like this story specifically, like she did all the pregnancy shoots. She did like all that shit times a million. And then she's calling TMZ and saying, Travis and I fucked while I was giving birth.
Ugh. I mean,
Like
this is so disgusting.
it's so like okay, just like on a
Uh,
couple of levels, just to break it down. So like 3 centimeters dilated. Now I've never seen a childbirth, and you have. What it
yes.
3 centimeters dilated is pretty dilated, no?
Yeah, I think it is. I'd have to remember what the numbers have to get to before you're like really in, about to
Like she's saying
have the
that this was
child.
to induce labor when she
Yeah.
was already 3 centimeters dilated.
Okay, so yeah, like, and it is like a waiting game, and you're like sometimes like women will like
Right.
jump on a trampoline, or they'll be doing squats, or it's just like get this thing out
Sure.
of me. But I find, and like maybe she had the baby at home, though. Maybe like did they have sex in the hospital?
I mean, I don't think that she would have a home birth unless she had like a hospital in her house. I'll bet it's like a suite at Cedar Sinai or whatever. And she's like, all right, everyone get out so we can like fuck.
Oh, and by the way, for people listening, there are like elite. What do you call it? You can pay for a suite at like a birthing suite at Cedars, so the rich
Yeah.
people can have like a way better experience than the
And it's like
commoners.
it's a whole floor where it's super private and there's security and they make sure that nobody has cameras or whatever. And like there's NDAs, like they have a whole celebrity like wing of that hospital basically
Yeah, so
for birth
that's
specifically.
I have both of my kids were born at Cedars, not in celebrity suites, but in just like the regular commoner
Yeah.
rooms. And I have to say that it was the least sexual environment I could possibly imagine.
Yeah, it doesn't seem sexual. It seems like kind of actively, and not that anything about a woman's body or anything about childbirth is gross, like in
I
terms
don't
of
know.
like it exists. I mean, it is gross. It's a lot of bodily fluids or whatever, but like I'm
Yeah.
not saying she's gross for being pregnant,
Right.
but
Right.
like it's a little gross to fuck somebody who is like actively kind of giving birth. It's like the baby's head is like out, it's out it's going out there. It's like not all the way up there. It's partially out and you're
It's
fucking her.
yeah. It's this. That's it's over the line. It's
It's
over the line.
over the line. And
I,
it's like the fact, like, okay, so she said this to TMZ and specifically said that they had sex to try to induce labor so that the baby would be born on Halloween because they wanted that to be the baby's birthday.
okay, that's such a like yeah. Like it's almost as bad as being like we wanted him to be a Libra or something. You know what I'm
I mean,
saying?
it's almost worse because I mean, it's like it's embarrassing. First of all, like, oh, I'm goth. I want my kid born on Halloween. Like, but I mean, it's like, do you remember like Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton? How they had this kind of like very like goth, like we're making out on the red carpet in
We're
like a really
drinking. We're
gross
drinking.
way.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
drinking
we
each
have
other's
vials of
blood.
each other's blood. Yeah, all of that shit. And like Kourtney Kardashian is doing like a light version of that. She's like doing like the like off-brand version of like the shitty version of that. Like the version of that that doesn't actually like go as hard as it should. She like wants that but like doesn't actually want to have to drink blood, you know? Like it's like
I
she
gotta
wants the
say,
aesthetic without the lifestyle.
I have not thought about Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob's relationship in a long time, but that is some good shit. That was
That's
the
some
real.
good shit.
That really was entertaining, and like I feel like they were like legitimately sort of crazy for one another and crazy like and
And crazy like they're crazy in a way that like Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly want to be and that Kourtney Kardashian and Travis Barker want to be and they never will be.
they never will be. By the
Never
way,
ever.
where is Billy Bob and where is Angelina? I don't feel like either of them have done a movie in a long time.
Well, Angelina is like in marriage trouble. She's like actively having like that whole like Brad Pitt marriage issue where he's just abusive and it's like
Those
a nightmare.
kids,
Those
those
poor kids.
I saw one of her. Okay, I got to do a celebrity setting. I saw one of her kids hiking.
Really? Her kid, just not Angelina?
It was oh god, I'm gonna forget the name. The one with short hair who looks just like Angelina,
I know you're talking about, but I don't know any of their names.
but like kind of has like a boyish thing, like
Yeah. She's got like a pixie cut and looks exactly like Angelina.
yeah, that one was hiking and like passed her on the trail and was just like didn't say anything, but I was like, oh my god, that's a Jolie Pitt. Though now they're like all cutting Brad Pitt's name off their name. Like he must have really fucked with them, man. He
I
doesn't seem.
mean,
I guess he like had a drinking problem, so I think like as long as somebody's getting sober, you give somebody a little bit of grace if they've really got a substance abuse issue. But it
not if they're
seems like
hitting you.
is that what it was? You think he was getting physical?
He was. That's what they all say.
Ugh. All right, that's so sad. What a
Yeah, it's
fucking
awful. It's terrible. I mean, and it's like it shows how you can't point an abuser out. There's no like profile for saying like, oh, this guy who I just met, he's an abuser. Like sometimes it's more obvious than others, I guess, but like Brad Pitt is America's sweetheart and yet he clearly was like beating up his wife and child. So or children. So like it just goes to show there's like really like no way of saying like, well, he was nice to me or he was nice to America or he seemed cool. Like none of it means anything. Like anybody could be an
But
abuser.
if he's in like a blackout, he's drunk and he's like got a drinking problem, doesn't excuse the behavior. But do we ever forgive somebody if they seriously have an illness like that and they get well and they're like, I'm really sorry. I was fucking out of my skull. Like I didn't even know what I was doing.
My feeling is that like a couple of things like forgiveness is one thing and having your career back is another, right? Like Brad Pitt I think could be forgiven by his family without necessarily being allowed to have the kind of power that an actor has on set, which I don't know if he's necessarily responsible enough to have. I don't know. But then I think also like there's a lot of talk about like do these people deserve forgiveness? Will we give them forgiveness? And I think like the idea of them deserving forgiveness or getting forgiveness has to do with the work that they do afterwards, right? So like if Brad Pitt came out and he was like, yes, I was abusive to my wife and children, that is completely unacceptable. Like I fucked up terribly. I need to get help. Everybody would be like, all right, well, fuck you. But then if he got help for many, many years and he became like an advocate and for many, many years worked on this, I think eventually he could be forgiven. And the an example of this that I think is very pertinent is Kobe Bryant, where he went on trial for rape. And like that was a genuinely confusing case for a couple of reasons. But he went on trial for rape. He would go be on trial, fly to Los Angeles, play a Lakers game, have the entire stadium boo him, have the entire stadium be like, fuck that guy. All of the news media be like, fuck that guy for like a really fucking long time. But he kept playing the games, kept playing as, better than any other player. And then he quietly funded like every like young women's basketball team in the country. Like he would have people keeping tabs on like various up and coming young players. If they got injuries, he would pay for all of their medical bills and say, don't tell anybody. Like, I don't want this to be known. A lot of it only came out after he died. And like that kind of generosity and dedicating your life to repairing this terrible mistake that you've made, I think is really kind of the only way that you can gain public forgiveness. And Kobe did in his life, by doing these things and like publicly doing them and not asking for credit, but doing them because he genuinely was trying to fix himself.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I feel like everybody should get a little bit, especially if you're dealing with like truly like a drunk. And
yeah, but like
I just don't get the sense that Brad Pitt
did get grace, like he was forgiven.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody. I feel like Brad Pitt hasn't really been booed. I mean, most people still like him.
Right. No, he hasn't been booed at all. Weirdly, like most people do still like him. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then is there any chance? I guess there's no chance that Angelina's just like fucking in a divorce with him and hates him and is trying to smear him with like all this shit.
Then why would because she didn't even come out and say it was the kids.
Yeah, but maybe she like brainwashed him. Who fucking knows? I can't get
every single one of them. I mean, it was like one kid first came out and was like, I'm not supposed to say anything, but fuck my dad. And then it was like silence. Another kid was like, yeah, okay, no, they're right. Fuck my dad. And silence. And then another kid was like, yeah, I'm taking my dad's name off too. Fuck this. Like,
what if you're the kid who's still hanging on to the pit? Like, what if there's got to be one, right? Maybe.
I mean, yeah, that kid might be fucked. I don't know. Cycles of abuse. I don't know if one is hanging out into the name Pitt or not, but I hope not.
Wow. Well, so Kourtney, I don't even know how we got here, but Kourtney Kardashian and Travis Barker had hospital sex while she was 3 centimeters dilated. That's nauseating. I don't,
truly nauseating.
Just gross. So
no one needed to know that.
Where do we go next, Mira?
This is one of Brad's favorites. This is actually a meme that Brad had to show me that I somehow had not seen.
You're gonna make me sound like an old pervert, but it's really
it's really funny, and it's everywhere. It's like not that Brad was like seeking it out somehow. It is everywhere.
This is like all over the internet, and I'm just like, okay. And it actually, in a weird way, is the kind of thing that I think the internet does well. Like this is when the internet is fun and funny in a way that I enjoy.
Yeah, when they find some strange thing to kind of like hold on to like this that is just like for some reason universally funny in a way that's very hard to even describe.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about specifically is what is being referred to as the Hawk Tuah girl. And I will just so this is a girl. I'm going to play a sound clip. This is a girl being interviewed on the street.
And this is in like the South. I think it's in Tennessee.
Yeah, I think it's in Tennessee.
And it's like one of these man on the street interviews or woman on the street interviews. There's a guy doing the interview talking to this girl, and it's like at night. It seems like it's like at night, late after the bars. So I think they've been drinking. I think.
Yeah, they seem like they've been having like a fun night. Like they've been like having a girls' night. They seem like they're they're drunk. I'm pretty sure. So. I'm just going to play this clip. I mean, this girl is really an icon. Oh, wait, why isn't it? Oh, here we go.
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
Oh, you got to give him that Hawk Tuah and spit on that thing.
Yeah, I'm going to play that one more time in case you guys didn't hear.
Yeah, let's get it a replay.
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
Oh, you got to give him that Hawk Tuah and spit on that thing.
So, like, this girl, the way that she talks, like, I'm never going to be able to stop saying, like, you got to give him the Hawk Tuah. Like, so, the emphasis that she puts on it, and the fact that all she has to go is, like, Hawk Tuah, spit on that dick.
And by the way, she's a global celebrity now.
everybody knows who she is now.
That is what is fascinating to me. Like, this is why the internet is endlessly fascinating in a way, is that you cannot predict when something is going to achieve this level of virality. She clearly had no intent. I think part of it is that you can't try to get this.
Yeah, you can't try to go viral, period. It's like gotta be something that taps into the human psyche in like a deep way that like none of us even truly understand. Like, why is it funny? I don't know, but we all think it's funny.
Well, I think this girl, she's been maligned in some quarters as being like vile or disgusting or whatever. But like, I think most people, she's so likable. She's funny.
Yeah, she's funny.
She's confident.
She's honest.
She's honest as hell, right? She's totally just like telling it like it is, sort of. And she's got this accent, which I think is part of the charm too. She's got this kind of like Dolly Parton-esque.
Yeah.
Like
she's got
Southern,
a very charming accent, like Southern, very like Southern hospitality kind of accent. And she's like, you got to just give me all Hawk Tuah.
So, but some of the memes though, because like the thing is that like once these things start happening, they just appear in your timeline. You don't look for it; it just is constantly there, and like
it's just there.
There's like a process that happens with something like this, where there's the initial meme of the video of this girl saying this, and then all of the subsequent like iterations where people are sort of making jokes about it in new memes. And like I've seen some shit. Like there's a one that involves like the movie Mystic River, where like it's the scene where Sean Penn is like saying, "Is that my daughter in there?" And it's like people are talking about what it must be like to be Hawk Tuah's dad, and then it's really entertaining and it makes me laugh. And I think, do we have the song that somebody made?
We do. We have. It's like an AI country song. It's 2 minutes long, but let me play a snippet of it for you guys because it's worth hearing.
Wait. So somebody went on AI, because you can do this now, and was inspired by this Hawk Tuah girl, and they made a song called, I guess, like Hawk Tuah.
Yeah, it's like a country song based on the Hawk Tuah girl. So let's hear it.
Underneath the moonlight.
Sounds good.
She went Hawk Tuah. What a pretty sight. She polished my not good. With a twist and a glide. She made me go crazy every time she did it. What a wild delight. I think her name was Haley. Where'd you know?
All right.
I mean, her name was Haley. I think they're making that up.
Is that her real name?
No, it just looks like someone named Haley.
I mean, so what else we got, Mira?
So our next one is about Taylor Swift, one of my favorite topics, and Dave Grohl, who I like, but isn't one of my favorite topics exactly, I guess.
Right.
But, so Dave Grohl, who seems like an incredibly nice man, who I've never heard anything but good things about, to be totally clear. Yeah, he really fucking stepped in it, though, this time. Like, he's like a famously nice man. Like, everybody loves him. Like, no one has a bad thing to say.
He's funny. He's charming. He's good at stage banter. He's kind. Yeah.
Totally. But he fucked up. So he was.
Wait. But did he fuck up? What did he do? I'll be the judge of this. What did he do?
You'll be okay. So Brad's going to be the judge of this. Well, I just mean he fucked up career-wise, and that he probably would have been smarter to not say this particular thing he said and just kind of move on, because you really don't want the Swifties after you for any reason, because they're like terrifying people. Like genuinely terrifying. Like they will find your credit card information and post it online.
What the it's like, yeah, it's like a swarm of bees or something. It's like,
I mean, sometimes I'll see, someone say something vaguely bad about Taylor, and then someone just responds with their like home address and like IP address, and I'm like, holy fucking shit. But also like, we're so fucking back. Like, this is like the core of the Swiftie community, is being like psychotic, crazy people.
You'll dox people.
And like, when Taylor gets too popular, the fan base gets a little bit less crazy. But now that the fan base is getting crazier, I'm like, oh, the real Swifties are back.
Dude, it's too intense. And so what did Dave Grohl do?
So I was going to play sound clips, but they are, they're like, at concerts. So it's kind of too hard to hear them. So I will just read them out to you.
Are you going to do a Dave Grohl impression or just read them?
Oh damn! So what is it? I'll try a Dave Grohl impression, but what the fuck does he sound like? You do one first.
I just feel like he's just sort of like a rock guy, you know.
Oh,
I don't
he's
know.
kind of like, hey, like I'm Dave Grohl, like I'm
Yeah.
like from California. Okay, yeah, I can totally do that. I'm from Venice Beach. I've got this.
Yeah, you got this. You're born to do this.
This is Dave Grohl on stage. I think they made like a small mistake or something, and like had to like keep going. So Dave Grohl said, let me get into my accent. I tell you, man, I don't want to suffer the wrath of Taylor Swift. We like to call our tour the Errors Tour. We've had more than a few errors, man. We've had a few fucking errors as well. Just a couple. That's because we actually play live. What? Just saying, you guys, like raw, live, rock and roll music, right? You came to the right fucking place.
Yeah.
So essentially what he's insinuating here is we have errors on our tour.
Yeah.
But we're playing live.
Like, okay, so errors, like mistakes.
So he's doing he's like, she's on the Eras tour, but
Right.
we're on the Errors tour where we make mistakes, but that's because we actually play live, you know, and Taylor doesn't.
Is that true? Is that true?
No.
Oh.
And that's where he really stepped in it, is because, like, first of all, you don't want the Swifties against you for any reason, but you especially don't want the Swifties against you for a reason that can, like, really easily be disproven. Unfortunately, I mean, obviously it's a massive show. They have a huge amount of band members playing, and I'm sure they have backing tracks also, but she sings live completely. When she stops singing into the microphone, there is no backing vocal track, which is really impressive for a show as big as she does, that she doesn't have a backing vocal track, like, and that it's all her own vocals, like, and live backup vocals, like, is really impressive. But she also has a band that she's played with for like 14 years or something like that, that has always toured with her. Band, backup singers, a huge amount of live instruments, and they are playing for the entire tour. The band is on stage with her. The band is doing choreography with her sometimes. Like, they are playing that music. And if they stopped, the music would stop.
So like so none of this is just like somebody pushing a button and it's, you sure?
I'm absolutely, because you can see it, and you've seen moments on the tour also where they've made little mistakes and the song is totally different. Like, it is 100% live. And so, like, there are probably things you could say about Taylor Swift's tours that are very different from, you know, Dave Grohl's tours, and they have different reasons why people would see them. But saying that Taylor doesn't play live is unfortunately not only going to get the Swifties all on your ass, but it's actually incorrect. And so, like, he doesn't really even have a way of being like, yeah, you guys can all be mad at me, but I'm right, because he's not, unfortunately. So,
but it's not like it's not the same as like a rock and roll show.
No, but like that's
totally stripped down, and they're just like,
yeah,
you know, 5 band members just like feeding off of one another and making a song. Like, she's got a whole production.
Yeah, like, I totally get what he's saying. They're completely different shows. Like, he's got, like a band who's playing songs, and like, it's just them on stage, and she has like an entire production. She has stage fucking screens and dancers and choreo and all this shit. So I get what he's saying, but he probably should have said something more like that instead of like, we play live and she doesn't. Like, I think he kind of just fucked up with his wording there, because that same night, Taylor Swift, at the beginning of her folklore set during the Eras tour, she points out her band members and her backup singers a lot in the show. And like, she has them, you know, like bow on stage with her at the end and everything. And so before one of her sets, she was like doing a little monologue, and she said, every one of my band members, every single one of our crew, my band who's going to be playing live for you tonight for 3.5 hours, they deserve this so much. And so does every one of my fellow performers. And you just gave that to us generally, and we will never forget this performance.
What about that? That's a nice thing to say, right?
It's a nice thing to say, totally, but it is clearly in response to Dave Grohl saying that she doesn't play live. For her to say, every one of my band members, every single one of my crew will be playing live for 3.5 hours tonight. Yeah.
I mean, she's like the master of like the sly dig, right? She knows how to retaliate. You don't fuck with Taylor Swift. Like, she's going to come after you. Especially if you're like a well-established man in the music industry who is trying to make it seem like Taylor Swift is like
cutting corners or like not actually as good of a musician as she says, like she will fuck you up, because that is one area in which like you actually kind of can't fuck with her. Like she knows how to play guitar, she knows how to play piano, she's trained, she's like,
is she a good instrumentalist? Like, can she really shred on a guitar?
I mean, her songs really aren't about shredding, I would say.
But I mean, like, just like as a proficiency issue, not as like a aesthetic issue, but like,
yeah, absolutely. Every night she goes on stage with she has an acoustic set where she has an acoustic guitar and a piano, and she'll play songs alone on the stage that aren't part of the set, like just songs that are like B songs on albums that her fans like, and she'll play it just alone with the guitar or alone with the piano every night. So she's certainly proficient.
Yeah, I mean, she can play better than I can. She can play better than most people can.
Yeah. She's, I mean, she writes her own songs, you know?
She's a great songwriter. I got to say, too, something that Dave Grohl, like, didn't address is the fact that she's also out there, like, dancing around.
Yeah, dude. She's,
so
like,
if you're
an athlete.
Yeah, like, so, like, that's the thing, rock stars are just sort of, I mean, like, it's physical and, like, you're exerting energy, but you're not dancing.
Not like that.
And you're not, like, being carried around and flipped around and, like, there's a physical component to the show that she does that is just not the same.
I mean, she trained for that show by running full speed on a treadmill and singing the entire set list for months and months before even starting rehearsal for the show. That's intense. 3.5 hours.
I heard that Angelina Jolie's kids have canceled Dave Grohl, just so you know.
Well, goodbye, Dave Grohl.
They want nothing. They've decided he's no longer a person.
It also makes me think of a story about Dave Grohl being at a party at, I want to say, like, Oprah's house or something like that, like some really famous person's house, and Taylor Swift was there, and there was a piano, and they were all hanging out, and they were like, oh, Dave, like, play something on the piano for us. Like, you should go. And Dave Grohl was like, oh, no, like, I don't really know how to play the piano. I know how to play the guitar, but like, what the fuck am I going to play on the piano? I'm not like that. Like, I'm not like an incredible singer or whatever. Like, I can kind of sing, but like, and Taylor Swift gets up and saves his ass and is like, oh, come to the piano with me, and starts playing, I think it's Best of You, and singing it, and he gets to sing with her. And then neither of them are embarrassed. She fucking saved his ass in front of like the royal family and like the most famous musicians of all time. Like,
and what does he do to repay her?
I
feel like, okay, because Dave Grohl is like, if he was like notorious for shitting on people, then we would have a pattern. But like, he's notorious for being a nice guy. I think like what happened is that
he made a mistake. I think he just didn't realize.
Well, I think his band fucked up on stage, and then it glitched, and he was like a little bit adrenalized and embarrassed. And so then he was doing
to make fun of himself a little, you know, like being like, we're the Errors Tour. Like,
yeah, he was trying to make a joke. I think people are going to, and are you angry at Dave Grohl as a devout Swiftie? Do you give a shit?
Not at all. I don't care.
I don't care either. Dave Grohl's a nice guy. Taylor, I feel like Taylor might have been like a little bit like pissed or whatever to be called out. She didn't seem
that mad even though, because if she was, she would come out with like a statement through her publicist that would be like, men can't take anything from me.
there'd be an album.
There'd be like at least like a lengthy, you know, notes app screenshot that's like, men can never take what I've done from me, like, you know, that whole thing. And good for her, whatever.
It's so over the like the Taylor Swift thing is like just so over the top culturally that I can't wrap my head around it. It feels like this big thing that I can't access, you know, but I see it everywhere.
I mean, it could possibly be, and you know, forgive me for making you consider this, but it might not be made for you.
No,
Taylor Swift's music might not be for older white guys.
What are you talking about? Everything's made for me. The world is here for me to enjoy.
I mean, that's true. That's a good point. I
like some of her songs. I can enjoy some of her songs. It's just like,
it's not like your thing. You're not like that excited about it.
Do you want to know? You want to know what it is that really gives me pause or like makes me just uncomfortable? Is the fact that it's like you go to one of these shows, and there's like children there. I don't want
Well,
to go
that
to
is disturbing.
I don't
That
want to
is
go to a fucking.
horrifying.
It's childish. It's
When you go
childish.
somewhere and there's children there, I get so scared.
Yeah. What do you call those concerts that parents take their kids to? It's like not the
Kids
Beanie Babies,
concerts, like
the
Wiggles
Wiggles.
or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
It's like a Wiggles concert. And I'm like, no, when I go to a concert, I want there to be adults. I want there to be drugs. I want there to be like people like tripping on acid and losing their minds. I don't want to be there with a bunch of children crying.
I mean, the thing is, though, is like it's not all children. It is a lot of older adults because she's been around for a long time, and many of them have been fans since they were little children, and that's a thing. And those are kind of the scariest people there. But like being surrounded by like 11 to 12-year-old girls having like a profound experience of music, maybe for the first time in their lives, it was genuinely moving and sweet. And like the fact that it was also music that I love, and that like it was like a younger generation of girls and young gays like having this experience like alongside an older generation having the same experience, it was really sweet. I thought it was actually like a very like nice like way for like different generations to like bond in a serious way and to like feel the same emotions like in a group for the same music. Like,
I don't know. I'm trying to trip acid here. I don't need you.
You can trip acid to Taylor Swift.
I don't need to. These kids would ruin it for me. And
they honestly wouldn't. You would have so much fun if you tripped acid to Taylor. Like if you got a good ticket to Errors Tuah where you're sitting down and you're not in the fucking pit with people and you took a good amount of acid, you would have so much fun.
Would Taylor Swift, are there people at Taylor Swift's concerts who are genuinely tripping? There's not.
Yeah, there are. You just like, it's hard to find them, but for
there's
sure.
Like, there's like the one weirdo who's like dropped acid at Taylor Swift.
I took a little mushrooms before I went to Taylor Swift. Not a lot.
You microdosed.
Yeah, it was like not that much.
I think I was encouraging you to take a stronger dose. I feel like that would have been interesting.
I would have, but I like didn't have enough.
When is Taylor Swift going to go into her psychedelic era? That would interest me.
Some people said that Midnights might have been her like discovering weed psychedelics era.
I feel like she needs to go hard into the psychedelics and see what happens to her music.
I feel like she needs to hire Trent Reznor as a producer, and I think that would really do a lot for her. Yeah, I'm not even kidding.
Let's make this more dangerous. Let's get the kids.
That for
scare the children. That's what you need to do, Taylor. Scare the kids out of that stadium. I don't want them anywhere.
Tortured Post Apartment was scarier than her other albums in terms of like being mad at her fans and like, you know, saying fuck a lot and shit like that.
I want to see at the next tour when she's gone into this new darkness. I want in this yeah, that's what it's going to be called, the New Darkness. That'll be her next tour. And when she goes out at the second set or whatever to give somebody a hug, instead of like some, you know, sweet 12-year-old kid, it's just going to be somebody who's just bugging out on acid, who's like in their 40s.
Eyes are just like...
It'll be me. I'll be on acid. She'll give me a hug. I'll just weep into her bosom and be healed.
God, that sounds awful. It sounds like a bad trip.
Just like it's like too long, too tight hug, just hanging on for dear life.
It's like the song cue is over. She's trying to get back to her choreography.
Yeah, they're like, we need to start playing the New Darkness. Come on, get this guy out of here. Security.
Gonna pull you off.
Yeah, just the jaws of life, just removing me from Taylor.
Yeah, they do have jaws of life at Taylor's concerts, just in case.
I gotta say, like as a cultural phenomenon, it's like few things I've ever seen. Maybe like Michael Jackson when I was a kid was kind of that way. When Thriller was out, that was the same sort of deal. People had lost their minds, and I think that's kind of where she's at. It's like Beatles, Michael Jackson, Taylor Swift.
Yeah, but even like what's so interesting about it though is like Taylor Swift is 17 years into her career and just now reaching this point. And like Michael Jackson and the Beatles, it was like early on.
But kind of no. Like the Beatles
17 years.
The Beatles had played in Hamburg as kids and had come up, and then it was pretty quick comparatively. But Michael Jackson started when he was 4.
That's true.
And then by the time he like Thriller drops, he's like 30. So like, and look, the Jackson 5 were their own phenomenon, but it was nothing like what happened when Michael broke out with, like Off the Wall and Thriller.
No, that's true. He did start really, really young.
So
he would, I guess, be the best comparison probably.
Do you think she's going to get weird? Like, is she going to go, is the fame and the money and the insanity around her going to drive her into some like Howard Hughes, Michael Jackson, like psychosis?
I think the thing about Taylor Swift, one of the things that makes her so famous and so popular is that she is so good at being famous. Like if she was going to go insane, it would have already happened. She's like 32 years old now. She's like fully a grown up. If she was going to go insane, it would have been when she was like 21, 22, like just becoming an adult out of being like not having a childhood. But like, I think the truly, truly freakish thing about her is that she loves every aspect of being famous. And she loves being famous so much that even the bad aspects are 100% worth it for her. And like, she can handle it more than maybe any other celebrity can. Like she is like,
but that's its own form of insanity to like.
Oh,
that.
she is a crazy person. Like she has a mental illness that like isn't in the DSM yet. Like, and she's creating that in her fans too. She has a new mental illness and she's creating a brand new mental illness.
Wait, do you feel like you have it? Have you gotten it?
I mean, it may be like a very small case of it. I feel like I know a lot of people who have like very like, I don't know, like feel like they're friends with Taylor Swift or like they have something to say about like her relationships or something. And it's like to me, it's like
parasocial.
Yeah, people get really parasocial with her. And like to me, I love her music. I'm a really huge fan. But like I'm not under any false pretenses that like she's my best friend or that we would even be friends if I knew her. Like I think she's a truly freakish person. And like maybe we would, I don't know. But like she is a fucking weirdo in a way that I have never encountered before and probably never will. And like that's something that I can't pretend to understand.
I mean, weirdo's good. We want our pop stars, we want our musicians to be a little weird, right? We don't want them to be like normies, right?
No, and I mean I don't think any of them can be at that level.
Yeah, it's just I cannot even imagine what it must be like to have to deal with like you can't do anything. I guess you can, but you just have to be willing to suffer the photographers.
Spend a lot of money on it. Like you gotta, get a gym in your house and get personal shoppers and shit like that. Like
yeah, that's easy. She's got so much fucking money. What does she care?
Exactly.
All right. So what else we got? We have anything else on the agenda?
We do have one more story on the agenda. This is one that you added, but I'm glad that you did, because what the fuck? So apparently, monster smut is the big new thing in publishing. And it's not just about extra long tongues, which is not even something that I consider, but is part of the headline.
Right.
So I guess people now on
people,
what is called
women or men? Like
women.
Yeah.
Like all women. It's like, I guess they're like romance novels. It's like erotic romance novels, but about women and monsters.
Like Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, like Beauty and the Beast, or like a minotaur, I guess. Like it's
which
like
is what it's like a half man, half cow. Is that what it is?
I think it's a half man, half horse.
Okay, whatever it is.
It's like a horse on the bottom and then like a man on the top. So
they're having sex. These are like sex books involving beasts.
Yeah, they're like erotic books. So like they've become very popular on what's called Book Talk, which is like TikTok people recommending books to each other. Generally, it's like young adult books or romance novels or the kind of stuff that like women would in the past maybe, be like, oh, like here's this book, like don't let people, like Mad Men era, like, oh, don't let people see the cover of the book, but like it's really good and it's like an erotic novel or whatever. That's kind of what Book Talk is now, right. I guess. And I guess people on Book Talk are really into monster erotica.
Why? I wonder why. What is it about women wanting to read about women having sex with animals?
I mean, it's not animals though. It's fake monsters. It's fantasy monsters. So they're not fucking like pigs or horses, right? It's not straight bestiality. It's like fantasy bestiality.
Oh,
it's
good.
like,
Thank
God.
God.
I want to like fuck like a kraken, like it's like that. Like,
but still, it's so weird.
It's so fucking weird. It's so fucking weird. Like, okay, here's like a quote from somebody who's a fan of the genre talking about basically what they want out of one of these books. God help us all. She said, I need him to be diabolical. A lot of you are giving me buff man with horns. He may have a few claws. That's not what I'm talking about. I need scales, leathery wings. I want him flapping. I'm talking extra sharp teeth, extra long tongue. I need the works. So that's the kind of shit these women are saying. And
so this is like a kink that these people have. They have fantasies about like minotaurs having sex with a horse.
So like, to be clear, this girl is saying like, you're giving me buff man with horns, which would be like a minotaur. And she's like, I need more than that. Like, I need extra sharp teeth. I need a long tongue. I want them to be scaly. I want them to have wings. Like, I want like an orc. Like, she like wants like a dragon. Like, she's like,
the fuck is an orc?
I don't fucking know. It's like a fucking like Dungeons and Dragons. It's like an ogre kind of thing. Elf, ogre, fucking Lord of the Rings nerd shit. I don't know.
I got to draw the line, right? Can we draw a line? Like, I'm all for freedom, but this is just absurd.
So like, I will make one point here that I think is very salient, which is that you watch something like Lord of the Rings, and the female elves are hot. They're hot, sexy elves who you want to have sex with. It is like who plays the elf, the hot elf?
Cate Blanchett and then Steven Tyler's daughter, Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler, exactly. Like Liv Tyler is a hot elf.
But it's just the ears. It's just the ears. It's not like she's got like...
It's just the ears in Lord of the Rings. But like, I don't know if you have friends who send you like porn images, but I do.
I can't believe we're litigating this.
When you're friends with enough insane gay men, they will send you like insane illustrations that they've come across on porn sites that are so funny and so crazy and like so ridiculous. And a lot of times... 100% of the time it's straight male porn, and like because they're the ones who want the weird shit, and like it's like not just elf girls, but like girls who are like either freakishly elven or have some other element, like they have like tentacles, or they have like fucking they're giants, you know, like they're like giant Amazonian women, or they're like they also like fucking monsters.
But they're not writing novels about it, are they?
No, they're making videos and images about it.
I can't, like, I gotta say, like, anytime I hear about this sort of like deviant sexual behavior or like deviant sexual interests, I'm just like, I feel like an alien. I'm just like, what? Like, people really like this? I can't even cope. Like,
like, no kink shaming from me, but like, yeah, I don't fucking get it. Like, I don't like get down with your rad self, have fun, you know, read some monster fucking books. Like, whatever, do your thing. But like,
I gotta be able to say that it's strange. I gotta be able to say, yeah,
it's fucking strange as fuck. I mean, like what I'm looking at. I mean, okay, the monsters in these books, be they gargoyles, krakens, horned barbarian aliens, tentacle monsters, wolf-human hybrids, snake-human hybrids, orcs, mothmen, or ambient shadow creatures. What the fuck are any of those things?
I want to know what's the psychological underpinnings of this? Like, what is going on where this is the thing? Like, women, how do they relate to men? They're like, oh, men are monsters, or I want them, but they're monstrous, or do you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the...
Yeah. I mean, I think it must relate in some, and this is just like armchair analysis, but like in some way to like, you know, like there was that like a tweet posted recently, like, would you rather be like alone with a man or a bear? And like a lot of women were like a bear, because like a man is actually more likely to kill you and it seems insane or whatever. I think maybe it's kind of that, where like every time you meet a man, it's kind of a threat. Like they're kind of like, they could potentially kill you just physically. They're larger and like stronger or whatever. And maybe it's some kind of like perversion or like reclaiming of that, where like they're like, I want to fuck the monster.
Give me the orc.
Give me the orc. Give me the, what was the last one was so fucking, the ambient shadow creatures.
Yeah, who knows?
That's like something you see on DMT. I don't know what the fuck that is.
That's the self-dribbling elves or whatever, the basketballs.
Yeah, exactly. That's the DMT elves.
Well, good luck to all of the Monster Smut readers out there. If you have any stories that you'd like to share about your experience, you can email the show, letters@otherppl.com, or reach Mira and I via DM on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah,
Mira,
please, if you have this monster fetish, please reach out.
I think we're ready for what? The closing segment, which we know...
my favorite segment.
Yeah, what's it called again?
It's called Brad Learns.
And there's the music.
And there's the music, the beautiful music that Brad wrote all alone by himself in his little house.
I had help. It was me and Jack Antonoff in the studio. Right. We cut this late. We like to work nights. Like, I don't
Jack Antonoff, famous krautrock producer.
He is, yes. And I, both of us are nocturnal creatures. We were in Hollywood.
Great.
We were at Sunset Sound. We put this together.
I mean, that's some old people shit. I don't even know what that is.
That's like where the Eagles made Hotel California or something. I don't know.
I think that place is long gone.
No, I think it's still there. It's somewhere.
No?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I
But,
don't know. Whatever. So, okay. What is Brad learning about today? Okay. I know how to answer Brad's first question. So, Brad's first question, what Brad wants to learn today. Katy Perry is teaming up with Dr. Luke again, and this is somehow controversial. Who is Dr. Luke?
Yeah, I have no idea. I know who Katy Perry is. I will say
Okay.
that. And I don't know anything about Dr. Luke at all or why this is a problem.
So do you know who Kesha is?
I've heard the name. I could not probably pick her out of a lineup.
Kesha is a pop star who came out with a song in my senior year of high school that like haunts me to this day because people played it so fucking often, and it was called TikTok before TikTok existed.
Was it about TikTok? Was it predicting TikTok?
No, it was like the clock is ticking kind of thing.
Okay,
And
yeah.
it starts with wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. Like that quote comes from Kesha.
Okay.
So basically she came out with this song, a couple other songs. She was like a very up and coming pop star and then kind of stopped putting out music. What happened is that she was, and I don't know all of the details, but she was abused sexually and otherwise by this guy, Dr. Luke, who...
Sounds like a guy who's creepy. Dr. Luke?
Yeah,
It's
creepy.
Like,
He's a very famous pop producer. He's made like a lot of really popular pop songs. I couldn't name them right now, but he's like a Max Martin type. Like he's like really produced a lot of shit. So he's like
that's a great job to be the producer, dude. Like this fucking Rick Rubin doesn't even know how to play instruments or use the soundboard even. He just like sits in there and he pretends to be a Buddha and like he's just like giving, I mean, he's good at it.
Produce. He just finds things that are, he literally can't. He hires producers. He's
made a fucking fortune. He makes a fortune off. This guy's worth like $150 million.
Man, fuck Rick Rubin. I don't fucking like that guy. I just don't fucking like him. Like, I don't like his whole thing. I don't like his whole, I'm Buddhist, but I make a bunch of money off of the backs of other people, like, and artists who, like, I don't actually contribute anything to, but, like, I just gonna, like, take
Who's the guy? Shit. Yeah, who's the guy that just died?
Steve Albini.
Yeah, Steve Albini was like
my man, Steve Albini.
Yeah, he was like the guy who was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm like, you should pay me like you pay a plumber. I get a one-time fee.
Yeah, because producers normally, it is complicated and I'm going to fuck up the explanation, but the short explanation is that normally a producer gets, I think, some amount at least of your masters. Whoever pays for the production of the album gets the master, which is like the original recording of the song. And like you can give that recording to, you know, movies, commercials, whatever. You own the music. And so a lot of producers own the masters of the songs that they're producing because they've paid for it, or the record label owns the masters because they paid for the production of the song. Steve Albini famously never did that, refused to take any part of like the, you know, royalties of the music that he would make. He would charge a flat fee, like you said. And like that is... He's the only producer at his level of fame who did that ever.
Yeah. Well, he had, I mean, he was,
that's and like he was a great producer. He actually did work that Rick Rubin is incapable of.
Well, that's the thing. It's like these guys who are the producers of the records, you know, what, you just sit in the booth and like give advice. Like, it just seems like such a...
Like technical music production is hard, like making sure that the levels are right, making sure that like all the musical bits of it are right. That's like an actual real difficult job that deserves like payment. That's like a trade. But someone like Rick Rubin, who's just like, oh, I like that band, I'm fine talent, blah, blah, like that's like
he's like a doula.
Yeah. He's like
a musical doula.
Like an emotional support guy. Like, yeah, he's like a nothing. Like he's like, yeah, like a doula, but like doulas do better shit than him even. Like he just like finds people and like, you know, spiritually guides them or whatever the fuck.
If you're 3 centimeters creatively dilated, Rick Rubin will have sex with you. Yeah, on a hospital bed while you're trying to make music.
So back to Dr. Luke. Dr. Luke is like a successful pop producer. He worked with Kesha for a long time. Kesha kind of then had a long pause in her career and everybody was like, what the fuck? And then she came out, and this was like maybe like the first Me Too thing to kind of ever happen. Maybe like kind of one of the inciting incidents of Me Too was her suing Dr. Luke, saying that Dr. Luke was not only abusive to her in the studio, but was preventing her from making music like on her own without him, because there was something about like a contract and the record label where it was like, you have to work with Dr. Luke or you can't make music anymore.
Right.
And so she decided to sue him, which was like really unheard of at the time, and kind of now, to like sue a producer specifically like that for abuse, because the real truth is the reason why all these pop girls are hiring Jack Antonoff is because the production studio is a incredibly toxic place for young women, and they are abused by producers nonstop. And Jack Antonoff happens to be a nice guy who isn't power hungry or abusive over these women. And that is probably one of the main reasons why he's hired so often.
That's like the niche to be in, right? I mean, it's like if it's overrun with all these like the kind of like
he's just not a creep.
Right. Don't be a creep. And
yeah, exactly.
You'll rake it in.
And so when Kesha sued Dr. Luke, actually, Taylor Swift, behind the scenes without telling anybody, funded her whole legal team, which we only found out years later. And like other artists like said that they had the same experience with Dr. Luke. So like it's a pattern. He does this. I think that she won some part of her lawsuit. I'm not totally sure, but she did win the ability to like start making her own music again.
Well, that's what she went. Then she won.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that Katy Perry is now making music with Dr. Luke is a problem, because he is abusive and has been sued.
He's being taken to jail as we speak.
And yeah, she is being taken to jail as we speak. And
but wait, so Katy Perry, remember she was I guess there were a lot of celebrities who did this, but she was one of the Rick Caruso people.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Was she really?
Yeah. When he was running for mayor, he's like a fake. He's kind of like this shopping mall.
The Grove in Los Angeles. Yeah, like it's a big shopping mall. You ran for mayor, like being like, I can be mayor because I own a shopping mall or whatever the fuck.
But she was like on his team. So she's like likes to transgress that way. She likes to like cross the line and like do. She seems
like an idiot. She seems like a genuinely not very smart person.
And so she's taking up with Dr. Luke, even though he's done this to Kesha.
And it's like, that's not a good, I don't know what PR team told her that was okay, but fire him, because what the fuck? Like, you just don't do that.
Wait, and what did Dr. Luke do? Did he just abuse Kesha because he wouldn't let her out of a contract, or he wouldn't?
No, I think he like sexually abused her also.
Oh, he did? Okay. Well,
yeah, like it was like a double whammy.
Well, that's dumb, Katy.
Yeah, it's really dumb. And especially at this point in her career where it's like either she comes out with like an eternal banger in the next couple months or year, or like she kind of is like a Vegas residency and nothing else. Like she's going to be left behind.
Wow. I mean, I think like, I don't know. I feel like people have short memories, but it's like if somebody sexually abused somebody, that's it. Like it's like
that's it. That's done.
That's it. You move on to somebody else. There's
hire a different producer. There's other producers. Hire Max Martin. Like who cares? I can think of 5 producers off the top of my head who she could hire that aren't Dr. Luke.
And who would work with her? She's a big star.
And who would be good? Who would make her good songs?
Yeah, she needs to get in there with Trent Reznor and start dropping acid.
She needs to get Trent and Atticus in there. She needs to drop acid. That's a girl who needs to drop acid.
Yeah. I feel like her aesthetic is a little trippy with all that's all, but it's very childish too. It's all these.
It's camp.
Is that what it is? Okay, yeah. But it's like there's candy canes and lollipops, and it's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. She needs to like figure out what the fuck her image is.
I think it's psychedelics. That's the only answer. At a certain age too, you just got to turn inward.
Anytime anything goes wrong, Brad is like, everyone's got to take more LSD. It would just solve so many problems.
It would make things interesting, if nothing else. I don't know if maybe it would make more problems, but at least they'd be interesting problems.
Yeah, at least they'd be different problems.
Yeah, that she should expose her psyche to herself. She'd have to grapple with it.
Yeah.
So, what else am I learning about today, Mira?
So the next subject that you're learning about, which you did ask me about also this week, is OnlyFans. Do you know what OnlyFans is at all?
I have a broad understanding. I've never been on it. I don't know how I don't know like the minutia of it. I just think it's like this is. I was thinking about it. I don't know if I said this to you, but I feel like OnlyFans is like Substack for porn stars. Like writers have Substack, and then porn stars and like musicians or performers or whatever have OnlyFans. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, yeah, that's not totally incorrect. That's like, so it's like maybe more like Patreon, I guess. Like it's because like you have levels of subscription also. So like it's largely sexual content, not all porn performers, a lot of amateur people just posting nudes of themselves and things like that. And a lot of like pretty like fucking Denise Richards has an OnlyFans where you can get full nude photos of her, packs of them. You pay like $10 for a pack of nude Denise Richards photos.
You're fucking kidding me.
Nope. And the reason why she did it is because her daughter made one. And everybody was like, oh my God, her daughter made an OnlyFans. And Denise Richards was like, fuck y'all, I don't care. And in fact, I'm going to make an OnlyFans, which I thought was kind of cool.
I mean, yeah, I guess, okay, that makes some sense. But,
yeah.
You know, there's like the one where you can get a celebrity to say happy birthday to you.
It's like you can also do that on OnlyFans where like if you have like, there's a performer that you really like and you really want to see them wash their feet or whatever weird shit dudes want. You can be like, I want to request this video. And they'll be like, great, that's X dollars or whatever. And if you pay it, then you can get a custom video. So it kind of also gives you can also do a thing where you can have people pay to message you. So it's like $2 a message or something like that. And it gives you kind of a semblance of like you're interacting with this person who you're also masturbating to.
For those of you listening, Denise Richards will also read Monster Smut aloud.
That's right.
If you want to have her talk, you know, what is it, like a Minotaur sex?
If you want her to talk you through Minotaur sex, she will do that for the right price.
It's very expensive. It's very expensive, but it's exquisite. It really is.
You know, it's really worth it. It's worth every penny. Brad and I have both done it.
I'm still recovering.
So like OnlyFans is like,
are you on OnlyFans? Do you have an OnlyFans account?
I definitely do not know.
Right.
I like, what would I fucking post? Like,
maybe we should get one together for this show. Mira and I'll wash my feet for you if you want me to.
Okay.
It'd
yeah,
like,
Brad's gonna show Hog. He's gonna do full nude photo.
It's gonna be so intense, but I know there are gonna be thousands of you out there who sign up.
Really unflattering too, like just like fluorescent light, like full body, like in like a dressing room or something.
Just
like
full, no, more like natural light. I want like midday sunlight.
Like in your yard, just
in my yard, washing my feet like Jesus.
So everyone look forward to that, to Brad's OnlyFans. Mine will just be photos of my dogs, but
I think we should keep this as a possibility for this for Brad and Mira for the Culture, that eventually there could be an OnlyFans.
It would be kind of funny if we had like any extra like, you know, bonus content or whatever, to be like, sign up for our OnlyFans to get the bonus content instead of Patreon.
That's right.
I think the division of money is better. I think we'd get more money on OnlyFans.
You would hope.
I mean, yeah, you would hope, wouldn't you?
So that's it. It's just like a subscription model, but it tends to be for like performative sexual content. And people are making money on this thing.
Good money.
Like how much a month? Do you know anybody on here who's crushing it?
Yeah, so like I know one person on there who is like a famous porn star, and so this is like really like,
this is a friend of yours who's a porn star?
Yeah, and she makes like an amount of money that I actually probably shouldn't even say out loud because people know.
Five figures a month? Like more than $10,000 a month?
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And like people who are smaller creators, I know people who like, you know, aren't famous like her and still make like an okay living on it. But you do have to work pretty hard, and you have to figure out a way to get a fan base of people who will pay for your nudes. Because it's like, unless you have like a following, like somehow where people would want to see you nude, it's like, how are they even going to find you? And like, that's hard, you know, like, it's like, if you're a porn star, people are automatically going to follow you. But if you're nobody, that's harder.
Well, and what's most surprising is how many literary writers there are on OnlyFans. Like,
well, it's not that surprising because it doesn't pay any money to be a literary person.
Jonathan Franzen has an OnlyFans.
And nobody subscribes to it. It actually has negative subscribers somehow.
You can get 48 nudes for $48.
Jonathan Franzen is like maybe one of 4 authors in America who doesn't need an OnlyFans.
That's right. But I mean, he's capitalizing in every way he possibly knows how. He's just,
yeah, that's true.
He's diversifying. He's diversifying his portfolio. I think it would be interesting for a literary writer to be like, yeah, I mean, like, I'll try anything. Like, I'm a great writer. I've published 6 excellent, well-reviewed novels. I have a net worth of like negative $12,000. Like, what else am I going to do except to go on OnlyFans and start selling like feet pics or whatever?
I mean, I think maybe you don't know how true that is in secret. Like, I don't think I know a single poet who isn't on some level like doing sex work.
Right. I mean, you got to do what you got to do at a certain point in the desperate quest for survival. But I feel like, honestly, I feel like it's like maybe there's even a novel to be written about this, where you have some sort of novelist who becomes like an OnlyFans sensation somehow. I'm sure there's.
Brad's getting a novel idea. It's happening. The next novel coming.
Wait, here's what I would say. I think this is probably already happening, and I just don't know about it. But if it hasn't happened, I predict that it will happen, and you're going to have.
And you're going to write it.
And that's going to be me, and it's going to be a sensation.
That's right. And you better give me a thank you in the end. Thank you, Mira, for teaching me everything I've ever known.
It's mostly women, or is it men on there too doing stuff?
No, it's men on there too. There's in fact, there's a guy on TikTok who's really funny and very chaotic, who is incredibly popular on OnlyFans and gets a shitload of money.
Doing like sex stuff?
Yeah, taking his dick out and masturbating it on camera and fucking girls and fucking guys and all of it.
So it's like full porn on this thing.
Oh yeah, it can be. I mean, a lot of people just post nudes or whatever, but it also is full porn.
All right.
The whole thing. And this guy, he makes so much money that like he has a TikTok video of him like barging into his sister's room, breaking the door, throwing a giant bag of money at her and saying like, your student loans are paid off, and then like running out of the house and her just being like, what the fuck just happened?
I think I've seen that video.
He owns a duck. He he bought his parents this big giant house, but then he'll just like barge through the door with his duck, and his mom will be like, "Get the duck out of the house! What the fuck are you doing?"
Some people just know how to like be chaotic in just the right way for the internet, right?
Some people are just naturally chaotic. It's true.
Damn, I need to get more chaotic.
Yeah, you do. Maybe more psychedelics.
That's what I need to do. I think I gotta take my own advice. Start tripping more. But
yeah,
I love talking with you, Mira. I think I feel like I learned a lot today. I hope that the people at home learned a lot, and I will look forward to talking with you next week about the culture.
Yeah, Brad and Mira for the culture.